this is real, and this is the result when someone snaps.
Need to stand together and fight for what is right. This is nothing but pure evil.
The mother of the children was also shot and had very serious injuries, although we are hopeful she will recover. There's another female that was in this residence that has life-threatening injuries. We are hopeful that she will pull through.
6 in the morning, Shreveport, Louisiana, Cedar Grove, a neighborhood still asleep. And then, it isn't. 10 people are shot inside 2 houses within the same hour. 8 of them are children. The youngest is 3 years old. Here is the part I cannot get out of my head. The night before this happens, he takes his oldest daughter to dinner. Just her, just him. She laughs the whole night. She goes home. 2 weeks before that, Easter Sunday, all 8 kids, a church, him smiling. Caption said, "What a blessed day." I need you to hold both of those images, because nothing I'm about to tell you will make them make sense. 8 children, ages 3 to 11. Before this video ends, you will know every single one of their names.
It's a tragic situation, maybe the worst tragic situation we've ever had in Shreveport.
His name is Shamar Elkins, 31 years old, Shreveport, Louisiana, Caddo Parish, Cedar Grove neighborhood. That is where this happened. 10 people were shot that morning across 2 locations. 8 of them were children. 2 adult women survived, both critically injured, both shot by the same man. I will come back to them because this story does not work without them. They are not background. They are the whole thing. Elkins is dead. As of right now, April 20th, 2026, he was killed by police in Bossier Parish after a vehicle pursuit following the shootings. There will be no trial, no courtroom, no verdict. He is gone. But 2 investigations are still open. Shreveport Police Department is handling the child killings. The what, the where, the how inside those 2 houses.
8 children dead, killed in a Sunday morning mass shooting in Shreveport. Meanwhile, 2 women and a child also shot in the head, now fighting to survive. The suspect steals a car and makes a run across the river.
It all ended with the suspect dead after gunfire in a Bossier City neighborhood.
Here is why this cannot wait. 8 children, the youngest just 3 years old, were shot and killed in Shreveport, Louisiana yesterday morning. This is the deadliest mass shooting in America in over 2 years. 8 children in Cedar Grove. Their names have not been said enough. That changes right now. 2 mothers were shot that same morning. One of them lost 7 children before the sun came up. The other lost 1. Both of them are in hospitals right now. But before we get to that morning, there is a detail from the night before that you need to know. And once you know it, it will stay with you. I want to stop here, because before we go any further into what happened, you need to know who was in that house. Jayla Elkins, 3 years old, a toddler, still at the age where everything in the world is brand new. Every color, every sound, every morning. Shayla Elkins, 5, kindergarten age, cartoon mornings, snack time. The age where your biggest problem is tying your shoes. Braylon Snow, 5 years old, a little boy. One of 3 Snow children inside that house that morning. Khedarrion Snow, 6, his brother. Kayla Pugh, 6 years old. One of 4 Pugh children in that house. 4. Layla Pugh, 7. Markaydon Pugh, 10 years old. Old enough to understand what fear is. Old enough to know when something is wrong. And Sariahh Snow, 11. The oldest child in that house. 11 years old. Old enough to have a favorite song. Old enough to have a best friend. Old enough to have a plan for what she wanted to be when she grew up. She never got to find out if she was right. These are 8 black children from Cedar Grove, a neighborhood that has always had to fight to be seen. Their names led the coverage in some places. In others, they got buried on page 2, underneath the shooter's background and the police timeline. I am not doing that here. The Saturday before any of this, these kids had a regular day. Cedar Grove on a weekend, whatever that looked like in their house. Noise, food, kids being kids. Nothing about that Saturday told anyone what Sunday morning was going to bring. 2 Sundays before April 19th, their mother, Shaniqua Pugh, got all 7 of her children ready for church. That is who she was before any of this. A woman getting 7 kids dressed on a Sunday morning. The 8th child in that house had a mother too, a woman whose name has not yet been released. Her child was there. She was there. What happened to those 2 women on April 19th is something I am not going to rush past. Not in this video. Shortly after 6 in the morning, April 19th, 2026. This is where the timeline starts. The first location is Harrison Street. That is where Elkins finds Shaniqua Pugh, his wife, the mother of 7 of those 8 children you just heard named. He shoots her in the face. She survives. She is conscious. And somewhere across that neighborhood, 7 of her children are in another house. He leaves Harrison Street. He goes to the second location, West 79th Street. That is the house where the children are. I am not going to walk you through every detail of what happened inside that house. What I will tell you is what investigators confirmed at the scene. 7 children were found inside. 1 child was found on the roof. A child tried to get out. Take a second with that. Weapons confirmed. A small caliber handgun was used in the violence at the scene. When police caught up with Elkins, he had a rifle-style pistol on him. A neighbor's security camera captured him leaving West 79th Street. That footage is on record. He fled into Bossier Parish. Police pursued him. They confronted him. Elkins was killed. From the first shot on Harrison Street to the moment police ended the pursuit, this entire thing happened before most of America had poured their first cup of coffee on a Sunday morning. By the time people in other time zones picked up their phones, opened their apps, saw the notification, Cedar Grove had already been changed forever. The national news found the number first, 8 dead. They got to Jayla and Sariahh and Markaydon later. Always later. What is still not officially confirmed, the full sequence inside West 79th Street. Official motive, complete condition of the second woman. The investigation is still working through all of it. But here is the detail I did not see anyone in the first wave of coverage spend enough time on. The night before all of this, the night before Harrison Street, before West 79th Street, before any of it, Shamar Elkins took his eldest daughter out to dinner. Just the 2 of them. And at some point during that dinner, she laughed. She had no idea. She went home. She had no way of knowing it was goodbye. Shreveport Police Chief Wayne Smith and the Caddo Parish Coroner both stepped in front of cameras to confirm what investigators found. Sheriff spokesperson Craig Braylon told reporters that officials had no prior knowledge of any domestic violence issues involving Elkins or this household. That one stopped me cold, because I went and looked at the record. In 2016, Elkins caught a DWI conviction. 3 years later, 2019, he was convicted of illegal use of a firearm near a schoolyard. That second one is a felony. And under federal law, a felony firearms conviction does not just complicate your ability to own a gun. It ends it. You are done. Legally prohibited. Permanently. On the morning of April 19th, 2026, Shamar Elkins had at least 2 weapons on him across 2 crime scenes. Back up for a second. Because this matters more than it is being treated like it matters. A man who a federal firearms law said could never legally own a gun again had a handgun at Harrison Street and a rifle-style pistol when police caught up with him in Bossier Parish. Nobody has explained how he got either one. That is not a gap in my research. That is a gap in the investigation that has been publicly documented and has not been answered. It needs to be. Elkins served in the Louisiana Army National Guard from 2013 to 2020. 7 years. He never deployed overseas. He left as a private. His stepfather, Marcus Jackson, spoke to the New York Times after the shooting. Marcus told the paper he had watched Elkins struggling and tried to reach him. His exact words, "I told him, you can beat stuff, man. I don't care what you're going through, you can beat it." Elkins told him, "Some people don't come back from their demons." I am including that because Marcus Jackson said it to a reporter and it is on record. I am not including it as an answer. There is no answer in that quote. The reason 8 children are dead is Shamar Elkins. I am not going to let one conversation carry the weight of an explanation that does not exist. Family members also told reporters that things between Elkins and Shaniqua had been falling apart for a while, that his mental state had been getting worse. Multiple outlets reported that a legal separation hearing between the two of them was actually scheduled for April 19th, the same morning as the shootings. Shreveport PD has not officially confirmed that detail. I am giving it to you as context, not as a cause. There is only one cause, and it is a man who made a choice. Now, here is something the press conferences did not cover. Before the national cameras pulled up to Cedar Grove, before the breaking news alerts, before any of this became a story on your phone, neighbors were already standing outside that house. Cedar Grove is a tight-knit, predominantly black neighborhood on the south side of Shreveport. The people who knew Jayla and Sariahh and Markaydon by name were not reporters. They were the people who lived 2 streets over. That is where the grief started. Not on television. City Council Chair Tabitha Taylor said publicly that these children had their whole lives ahead of them. State representatives have spoken. But I want to be clear about something. That grief in Cedar Grove did not start when the cameras arrived. It was there the moment the neighborhood found out. And it is still there now, while the rest of the country has moved on to the next notification. And while investigators are still piecing together the full timeline, while Shaniqua Pugh is still in a hospital bed having lost 7 of her children in a single morning, 8 families are sitting with questions the investigation has not answered yet. That is where things actually stand today. So let me give you the full picture on both women, because they have not gotten it anywhere else. Shaniqua Pugh, shot in the face on Harrison Street on the morning of April 19th, hospitalized with very serious injuries, mother of 7 of the 8 children killed that morning. She has not made a public statement. She does not owe the public one. She is a victim in this case. She is a survivor. She is a mother who went to sleep on April 18th with 7 children and woke up to what she woke up to. Her name is not a detail in this story. Her name is the story. The second woman was inside the house on West 79th Street. Shreveport PD has not released her name as of April 20th, 2026. She is the mother of the 8th child killed. She was hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. She lost her child inside that house on West 79th Street, and right now, she is the only living person who was inside that house when it happened. The answer to what actually went on inside that house may come down to one person. A woman we cannot name yet. A woman who survived. A woman who lost her child. The day she is ready to speak, everything investigators think they know about that morning gets re-examined. I need to go back to the night before. This is the part I keep returning to. The part I cannot put down no matter how many times I go through the timeline. The night before the shooting, April 18th, 2026. Shamar Elkins takes his eldest daughter out to dinner. Just her, just him, one-on-one. He posted about it. He was smiling in the photo. She was with her father. She sat across from him at a dinner table the night before he killed her. She did not know that. She could not have known that. She just knew she was out to dinner with her dad. That is the detail. That is the one I cannot get past. Because it means at some point during that dinner, while she was eating, while she was laughing, while she was just being a kid out with her father, something was already decided. Or it wasn't yet. And honestly, I do not know which of those is harder to sit with. 2 Sundays before that dinner, Easter Sunday, the whole family outside a church, all 8 children, him smiling in the middle of all of them. He wrote, "Had a wonderful time at church for the first time with all my kids. What a blessed day." That photo exists. That caption is his. Those children were there. And then, 6 in the morning, April 19th, Harrison Street. He shoots Shaniqua Pugh in the face. She survives. He leaves. West 79th Street. The children are there. The second woman is there. 7 children are found inside that house. 1 child is found on the roof. A child tried to get out. That child did not survive. I am not going to add anything to that. I think you understand what it means. These were children who were scared, and one of them tried to find a way out. I want that child's effort to be part of the record, not the horror of it, the courage of it. Elkins fled. Police pursued him into Bossier Parish. They confronted him. He was killed. He did not sit in a courtroom. He did not look at those families. He did not answer a single question from a single person connected to any of those children. On April 19, 2026, 8 children were killed. Their mothers were shot. And, before the sun had fully risen over Shreveport, Louisiana, it was over. The dinner photo was still up. The Easter photo was still up. And 8 children who had been alive and eating and laughing and going to sleep the night before were gone. Shamar Elkins is dead. And because he is dead, there will be no trial, no sentencing hearing, no courtroom where these families sit in the front row and watch a verdict get read out loud. That is not going to happen. It is never going to happen. I want to be honest with you about what that means. There is no sentence for what happened to these 8 children because the man who killed them is gone. And for families sitting in waiting rooms right now, in funeral homes right now, that is its own kind of unfinished wound. Justice is supposed to have a shape, a courtroom, a verdict, a moment where somebody is held to account in front of everyone. These families will not get that moment. I think we should say that plainly instead of glossing over it. But here is what is still happening. Louisiana State Police is actively investigating the officer-involved shooting that killed Elkins in Bossier Parish. That is open. And separately, the question of how a man with a 2019 felony firearms conviction ended up with a handgun and a rifle-style pistol on April 19th is still sitting there with no answer. That question does not need a defendant to get answered. It needs the ATF. It needs gun shop records. It needs someone to trace the chain from the weapon back to the hand that sold or gave it. That kind of accountability does not require a courtroom. It requires people doing their jobs. Someone sold Elkins those weapons or someone handed them over. Either way, that chain has a beginning. And the people at that beginning need to answer for their part in what happened in Cedar Grove. Here is what these families still concretely need. They need to know how he got those guns after a conviction that should have stopped him from having any. They need answers on what drove that morning, not for the internet to debate, but for 2 mothers in hospital beds who still do not fully understand why their children are not coming home. They need Shaniqua Pugh's name to be in every article, every segment, every conversation about this case, with the weight it deserves. And they need the second woman, when she is ready, on her own timeline, treated as the victim and the witness and the mother that she is. Not a source, a person. And I want to say something I have been sitting on through this whole video. 8 black children were killed in one morning in Shreveport, Louisiana. 8. I want you to think about the coverage, not the first hour, the days after. Black children in this country do not always get the week of wall-to-wall news. They do not always get the national vigils on the evening broadcast. They do not always get their names trending. Jayla was 3. Sariahh was 11. Markaydon was 10 years old and old enough to know something was wrong. Every single one of them deserved a week of coverage that did not move on. Every headline, every night, every conversation, until there were answers. This story is not finished. Both investigations are active as of April 20th, 2026. The moment there is movement, on the firearms chain, on the officer-involved shooting, on either of those 2 women, I will be here. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Because this does not end when the news cycle does. I want to go back to that Easter photo one more time, not as evidence, not as irony, just as a record. A record that these children existed, that they got dressed up on a Sunday 2 weeks before April 19th and went to church with their father and came home and went to sleep that night with no idea what was coming, that they were here. Jayla Elkins, 3 years old. Shayla Elkins, 5. Braylon Snow, 5. Kayla Pugh, 6. Khedarrion Snow, 6. Layla Pugh, 7. Markaydon Pugh, 10. Sariahh Snow, 11 years old. And Shaniqua Pugh, a woman who got 7 children dressed for church 2 Sundays before her world ended. She is in a hospital right now. She has not spoken publicly. She does not have to. But her name goes in this video with everything it carries, because she is not a subplot. She is a mother who survived something that should never have happened to her, and she is going to spend the rest of her life carrying April 19th. Say her name like you know what it cost her. I want to ask you something directly before you go. When 8 black children are killed in one morning in this country, do you honestly think the coverage matches what actually happened? Not the first hour, the week after. Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Their names were Jayla, Shayla, Kayla, Layla, Markaydon, Sariahh, Khedarrion, and Braylon. Remember them.